So I've seen that competitive has already been started in season 0 of this, and we see a lot of people now getting into the competitive scene and seeing like the gameplay from like here and there. And I've seen Flats talk about this. If you guys don't know who Flats is, he is a major Overwatch player, a top 500. Same thing with OG Pure, a top 500 in Overwatch 2, who were major areas, like for instance, like in DPS, also support, tank altogether, and they switched from Overwatch 2 to Marvel Rivals because Marvel Rivals became a big thing, and they heavily supported it, just like I am. There was a question that a lot of people wondered, and a lot of people were wondering, will this game or should this game get role queue? Now, I'm not speaking from a professional player point, I'm speaking from a casual player point, and I would say like a little bit of a comp view. To have this game have role queue in general, I think it should be taken out to a point where, okay, quick play should not have role queue. If you're having the quick play aspect, please don't put role queue in it. The one that helped destroys the idea of an actual player learning the character or learning how to play the game. I would say if you do role queue, you should have a competitive scene only role queue. I think it's also to a point where you should also do things like I'll say looking for a group, but with Overwatch and how it's set up, especially how it used to be set up, looking for a group in Overwatch was the worst idea. It gets to a point where people actually had like political talks for no damn reason, thinking like this is a TikTok platform. But I think with role queue, if you put it in the competitive aspect, it helps to a point where it shows where little characters or certain characters that are not getting too much play or not seeing so much play can get a certain nerf or a kit change. It could also show to the fact of nerfing and buffing on the most played characters with that based on roles. It also can show nerfing and buffing with the characters based on who is doing what in numbers when it comes to the most played character in said role. Like for instance, if we see things like I'll give you an example like Moon Knight right now. Let's see if Moon Knight is not seeing a lot of gameplay. One of the two things you want to do is give him a buff or possibly go ahead and change his kit. If you see someone seeing too much gameplay, then you want to give them a nerf, or with that possibly if they're overpowered, then you want to give them a nerf to go ahead and try to make way for people to go ahead and be able to play their other characters. I would say if it's a necessity in this game, I would not say that it's a necessity, simply because of the fact that this game in certain areas is not too counter heavy. I wouldn't say that this game is counter heavy. I would say this game is not as counter heavy or as counter heavy as Overwatch is, because Overwatch is really counter heavy. I think this game is more free hands, where you could choose who you want and try to show like the skill level of what you know with the character. I think that's the major difference between Marvel Rivals and Overwatch 2. So what I say, it would be a good idea to have role queue, possibly. What I would say, possibly it would be also a great idea to like have people do it as an experimental try first, see how good it is, see how it goes through, and if it works through, then yeah, put it in. I think a lot of people don't want it is because they had that Overwatch 2 experience, but then at one point got to a certain area where where they actually did things like try to have the role queue implemented. A lot of people said that the roll queue went ahead and failed and caused the death of Overwatch 2. I don't agree with that. I think it got to a point where a lot of people, you know, now understood the idea of how Overwatch should be played. My thing about this is just the fact that, you know, I think a lot of people don't know that some of the characters in some of these areas with roll queue can actually see a lot more, you know, gameplay, and nerfing and buffing can be a lot more easier. The reason why roll queue was adapted in Overwatch 2 and why people hated it was because when Brigitte came out, Brigitte destroyed a meta, and that's where goats came in. Now, was Brigitte overpowered? No, she was not overpowered. That's where I don't agree with Flats, because he said that Brigitte was one of the most broken characters. No, there were way more broken characters that need to stop. This is when Tracer was extremely powerful. This is where Genji was extremely powerful, and he still is extremely powerful because of his kit. But then when you get someone like Brigitte to go ahead and counter them so heavily, then you get a lot of people to be upset about it. And when people are very upset about it, they're gonna go ahead and want to change stuff. As I said, it's a weird concept for people to be like very upset about something that is supposed to change a meta, because a meta is going to change regardless, whether you add in a new character, whether it was Brigitte, whether it's Hazard, or whether it's Anna, or even Moira. A whole meta is going to change. Metas are meant to be broken. They're not meant to stay forever, because then that causes major repetitiveness in gameplay and causes major their count to go down because of the repetitiveness. So in final thoughts of this, if I were to implement a roll queue aspect of this, I would recommend, you know, actually have a roll queue set for the competitive area, have a casual area with no roll queue so they can learn how to play the game and learn how to play the certain character. I think if you're gonna do a roll queue, my major thing with that, you'll also need a role recommendation situation. So like for instance, if you are doing a thing where, you know, the looking for group thing, you could also have a system where, hey, you know what, if I am going to play a support, then I'm looking for a person who is going to be a tank, or is going to be a duelist, or strategist, or vanguard. But that would also be just the basic of the roll queue, so it would make no sense. You just might as well put the roll queue situation in there. I think this game could actually go better with, since we have the actual function with the factions that actually can cause a lot more of, you know, finding a team and adding a team in. I think it's actually pretty cool. I think it's actually really cool that you could do that. And with the factions being added in, you can actually, you know, communicate more with people on that faction area and be like, hey, I'm looking for a tank to actually, you know, be part of the game. Can is this guy who mains Venom, can he actually go ahead and do you know, the actual combination with Penny Parker? And then if he's there, he's like, yeah, I'll be right there in 5 minutes. That's what the faction does. I think that's actually pretty cool. So yes, if you try to go ahead and put a roll queue, just leave it for the competitive area. Like, do that for the competitive area. Leave it for the competitive area. For the casual player, if they just want to play quick play, let them play quick play. Let them go ahead and, you know, play whatever role they want, and let them go ahead and just like do whatever they want in the casual area. Don't put roll queue on that area unless they actually want to try to do it like, you know, like Overwatch, where they're putting 2 different types of choices. But a lot of people would choose to go ahead and do more of the open queue aspect. I think a lot of people also get to a point where, you know, it gets really bad that when now, because a lot of people see that there is punishments for the quick play aspect. I think if you actually put in the roll queue or leave the open queue situation set up, where there's 2 different types of styles set up, like roll queue quick play or open queue quick play, I think that ends up leading to a lot more bans and a lot more issues where people are going to ban you like irresponsibly. Because if you are not doing anything because simply it's open queue, or simply because it's not role queue, it's not meant to be serious, then that could also lead to people throwing intentionally and not giving a damn. I think if you actually implement role queue in this, it actually gets to a point where it's like, okay, you know what, actually is a serious game. We actually have to do part of what, part of what the role is intended, or what the character is intended. Because regardless of you learning how to play the game, there is also, you have to learn what the role is about. And I think with having the open queue, that goes ahead and gives more of an issue for players, simply because of the fact that, you know, as I said, people will not go ahead and do anything like actually, you know, go to a point like touching the point, or will intentionally throw. Because I've seen that a lot in Overwatch in the negative, to a major point where I've had to report people in quick play because simply they would just throw themselves off the map intentionally, and people would get banned in that aspect. People have gotten banned in quick play because of their negative attitudes, or even things like, you know, intentionally throwing, or intentionally throwing like being AFK in the game. Now, if you're busy by yourself, you know, and you have something more important in the game, then obviously that's understandable. But now, since nobody can really know that, because I could just simply say, oh, I got more important stuff to do in the game, and then possibly get off the game and then go to another game, because a lot of freaking gaming consoles and other places will see that and show that you're on another platform or on another game. Then it's kind of hard to go ahead and be like, okay, well, you know what, these guys would just have real life stuff going on. So here's what I say: if you're doing role queue, leave it for the competitive area so people can take it seriously. The open queue, if you do that, just leave it for quick play. A lot of people are not gonna take it too seriously in quick play. But I think when you end up doing like keeping open queue so long, then you get to a point where, you know, people are gonna do the negative thing like in Overwatch and intentionally throw stuff and get reported for it. There was also another situation when it comes to that, is because people don't like the fact of, oh, there's so much sweats in the game. One issue that I have with that, and this is kind of a weird thing for me to say, I don't think anybody should be lazy in a video game, and that's just me. If you want to have fun, absolutely have fun, but it doesn't make no sense for a place where you're like, you know, okay, having fun trying a character, of course, you have the right to do that in a quick play area, but you also have to at least try to capture the point. You have to at least do things like, you know, push the payload. That's the objective. You know, that's a major thing with that. People are like, oh, well, you know, I'm just doing this for fun. It's not fun to intentionally just do that and then just throw the game, because guess what, you still have to do the objective. A lot of people hate the fact that people are doing way too much and like, oh, dude, why are they sweating so hard in the game? It's like the exact same thing where people are telling, oh, you shouldn't tell people how to play in quick play. It's just quick play. It's the exact same thing of how you guys are trying to tell people who are trying to learn and try to get better, try to learn the character and try to do more with the character, and you're like, oh, they're sweating too hard. No, maybe you're just not doing enough. So you can't tell them, oh, that they like that they're doing, you know, too much. They shouldn't be sweating so much. That's how they're playing. It's the exact same thing if people would get pissed off at you for, you know, doing the exact same in quick play. You can't just simply do that. Sorry, that's just how it is. But I think role queue would go ahead and show that. I think role queue will also show like what a player is good at in a role, or actually can have a player expand in other roles. And I think that would be good for the quick play area. If they, you know, let them, I would say, excuse me, not quick, the competitive area. As I said, I don't think personally it's going to be needed, in my opinion, because I said this is not counter heavy. This is not a counter heavy game. Like, you could literally play who else and then, you know, like literally get a 6-man kill, 5-man kill. But that's just me. But you know, we just gotta see where it goes. It's just season 0. I don't think it should be implemented yet. We gotta see how far it goes, and then let's see if they will implement it. If they do, then we'll go from there. But we will just have to wait, and within time we'll get our answer.